Hey everybody, welcome to It's Metal Thing. Today I get that front axle in this bad boy, my Trick WAC 2.5-inch Molly, baby. Let's do it. Okay, before we get started on this video, this has been a long process. I ordered this axle before I even started working on the car. Before I built the car, I was looking and talking to people about what they were running underneath their cars, and I spoke to a gentleman at a show, and he had bought in a Speedway, and he said after the first year it was giving him issues. He wasn't super happy with it. So I was kind of thinking what I was going to do, and I came across, I started looking for axles. I came across WAC, so that's when I went with. I went with the WAC, eventually went with the 2.5 chromoly one, just because I thought it was pretty cool. So that's when I ended up running. I was talking to Bill over there, and I was asking about spindles. I was looking like maybe a Magnum or something. I wanted something that was not Speedway, actually. But he told me he actually recommended the Speedway. He said it was the only one that was forged. So I went ahead with the Speedway spindles. Running the Willwood brakes. I went with the Speedway heavy duty arms. And I was gonna try to run one of those on the top, but I ran into a situation with the camber in the axle being a lot deeper than the lower part where you bolted the lower part, and that wasn't gonna work, so I ended up making a top one. So that's kind of just a synopsis of where I'm at. Like I said, it's a long process. It ended up pretty good in the end, but so I'm gonna get to the video and see how it goes. All right, getting the axle in this thing. So obviously the first thing you need to do is get springs. There's a couple of different ways to go. You could try to find a spring that'll work in there, maybe figure out arc, eyelets, spacing, all that stuff. You can go with a universal spring, like the Speedway kit. I think that's a trailer spring. I think it's like 36 inches long. I think they run the same spring on a 55 Chevy as they do on a 61 Falcon. Obviously 61 Falcon is gonna be lighter. I know guys will buy them and take some leaves out. Just seems like a compromise to me. Another thing too is the longer the spring, the better. I want this to work right. I want the suspension to be right. I want it set up. I did a lot of work on the back to try to get it dialed in. I want to do the same thing on the front. Still got a little work to do on the back. I'm not going to nail everything down until it's pretty much done. Roll bar, everything all in it, so I can get a full, idea of how the suspension is going to be. I'll iron it all out and weld it for the final time when everything's nearly done. The thing with this one though, right now I'm at, I got the engine in, I have the steering box sitting there. Obviously I'm missing radiator fans. The battery's gonna be in the back. All the accessories are on already. I'm probably gonna run twin turbos. That's gonna add about 100 pounds from what I've done research-wise. Glass, I need to put front glass and back glass. Seats are in it, so there's not gonna be much of interior. Carpet might be the difference. Roll cage. I have like 250 pounds in the back there to simulate the weight in the back as far as the rear springs go. So it might be cantilevered a little bit and lifting up some of this weight. So right now, I'm at 730 pounds plus 50, so 780, we'll call it 800. I'm probably gonna go with like 1,100 pounds, add 300. So I'm gonna figure around 1,100. He told me, the spring guy said, we'll start out light and we can add or change the secondary or third spring to do what we want. So we're gonna get close with the first one, and then we can add a leaf or a thicker leaf, change the leaf, we can massage it. So I'm gonna start at 1,100. I think that's a good amount. So I have 42 inches from the front of the frame rail there to the kick. I'm gonna probably end up running like a 40-inch spring. I have this, which will probably go right up against here, right? So I'm gonna lose an inch. Put this as far forward as I can. I have this set at 21 inches. That line there, the axle's not sitting at 21, but it's pretty far forward. It's farther forward than it was stock. The wheelbase a little longer. I want that altered wheelbase look. Plus it'll help with handling, longer wheelbase. Everything will be better that way. So what I need to do is get these in. This is stuff Bill made at WAC. Man, that guy can weld. He does quality work. This stuff ain't cheap, man, but it's pretty cool. It's good. This 2.5-inch giant chromoly axle is pretty trick. So yeah, I'm gonna put the shackles on, put the spring perch on, get some measurements, get that leveled up, obviously. Do a straight line off here, get the car kind of where I'm sitting. I've got it way jacked up just to get the weight that I need. So I'm gonna get that back down kind of where it belongs and figure out what I need. I'll do a little drawing and then go down and see the man at the spring place. So do that next. All right, so back on this axle. It's been a minute. I needed to get the axle in to get the engine in because I needed to know how the steering was gonna go, where it was gonna land, tie rod, all that stuff. So that's as far as I got on the last one. I needed to order some springs. Got all my spring purchases stuff from WAC when I got the axles. So what I ended up doing was I ended up putting the Speedway arms for the tie rod on the bottom. That's the chromoly one that I welded up. The steering box is clamped to that big piece of steel that's actually gonna get welded to the frame that was in an earlier video. And I made this upper arm, which I'm not sure if it's gonna work. It might get in the way of the spring. We're gonna have to find out. So, as you saw in the earlier videos, the weight on this thing was about 800 pounds as it sits. So I'm adding like another 350 for radiators, and that weight was with everything but the hood. So I mean, it's got a lot of stuff in it, but I had an extra 300 pounds. So we ended up running, I had to make a 650 pound spring, I think. We'll see. I think that's what he did. So what I did was is I found the center where I wanted the axle to be. It's like 40 inches or 42 inches, I can't remember. Anyway, I measured front to back, get equal distances. I put a straight edge on here. I measured from one to the other, got the arc and everything figured out. So he just made up these springs for me. They're roughed in. He said, we're gonna put them on and just run it. We're gonna let it sit here, move it in and out, put some more junk on the car, and see where we end up. I'm going to kind of get these placed first. Going to run a string line down, measure off the front mount of the rear spring to here, and same on the other side. I can't go off this frame because the frame is different on each side. This angle is different from one side to the other because the floor was different from one side to the other. So this distance that's going to be here is going to be different from one side to the other side. So it needs to be squared off of the rear suspension so it goes down the road straight. Get these on, tack them on, put this where it belongs, set the spring in here, get it set up on here and see kind of where we land, and I'll let the weight on there and tack this in and just let it ride like that. And then I'll be able to see if that will work, that steering will work. And if that does, then I can mount the steering box. And dang, that whole front part will be pretty much done. Like I said, just let it settle, let it see what it's gonna do, and then make some decisions on that. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get underneath there. I'm gonna measure from the rear spring perch to the front spring perch and get those placed and tacked in. And then I've got some cheapo bushings from the trailer supply place down the road. And I'm just gonna set it in here and set it on the ground and see what it looks like. So that's next. So at this point, I came to the realization I couldn't really get things right until I had the proper tires on there. I had originally thought I was gonna run these tires early in the process. I borrowed them from a friend. They were checked and cracked and they wouldn't hold air. And they ended up not being right for the car. So I went ahead and ordered up these tires. They're the ones I'm gonna run. They'll be on the car. I'll be able to set up the front end and know exactly where I'm at. So that's where we're at. All right, axle is all measured up. I have it, I took the weight off with the springs hang where they wanted, ended up at 28 3/4 center. I put the perches, set the perches in, put a little pressure on them, moved around, measured them out to the kingpin, got everything squared up straight where it needs to be, side to side. I put 12.5 degrees of caster in it with the weight on the axle. I'm just gonna tack it in for now. Tack in the perch. I need to get some U-bolts. Go to the the trailer place that I know. Gonna get some U-bolts for that. Just got my tires finally mounted. These are 26 by 4.5 by 15, M&H DOT approved. They're gonna be kind of a compromise. They're bias ply and they got straight grooves, so I have a feeling they might be grabbing the road a little bit. I'm running bias plies on the back, the cheater slicks, the M&H as well. And I didn't want to run a radial and a bias ply. I don't know if it would make that big of a difference. But the thing is, it's going to be primarily driven on the street, so I'm going to get a little bit of compromise with these bias ply tires as far as handling goes, but I want this thing to run in the 9s. So it's like 130 plus, and looking around for tires that are this size that can handle that kind of speed, this was the way to go. So it's, when you want a street car and you want to run in the 9s and you want a specific look, you're limiting yourself, 3 different ways. So I feel like this is the best choice for tires for now. I'll, drive it around and see how it goes, see what the wear is. If I wear them out, maybe I'll try to come up with something a little bit different. But for now, with the look and the speed and all the stuff that I want to do, this is, in my opinion, the best situation. So I'm going to get this tacked in, get some U-bolts on here, throw these wheels on, and see where I'm at. So I'm thinking it's going to be pretty close. And then the next thing will be working on the steering and figuring out the steering arm. But yeah, I want to get the tires on here and the wheels on here and have it sitting on the ground and see what it looks like. So that's next. Okay, axle's in. My 2.5-inch chromoly WAC axle. I'm happy. It's a milestone. I'll admit I got a little emotional. I've restored cars and I've modified cars, but I've never actually built a car. This is a long time. It's a big deal. If you ever built a car, you understand what I'm talking about. So I got everything all tacked in. I got these U-bolts from the trailer supply place. The threads weren't starting. The threads started way down, so I put these spacers in. Talking to the spring guy, we're probably gonna have to stiffen up this spring a little bit. I like the way it sits now, but I still gotta add turbos and radiator and all that stuff to the front. So we might either put a little helper spring underneath there. So once that's all done and nail it down, then we'll paint them and put the straps on. But everything right now is tacked in front and back. I'm not really doing the suspension fully till everything's done in the car. Got all the measurements, nailed it all down. Sitting a little low in back, but I still have this weight in the back, the 200 plus pounds for simulation of fuel and battery. I don't know if you've seen this in the other videos, but AFCO sliders, Caltrax. When I put the rear end, I moved the axle far forward as I could. It's like 1 inch maybe forward. It's kind of close right here, but as the suspension travels, it'll move back. And then I moved this axle forward quite a bit. Got a little altered wheelbase kind of feel, which I think is cool. So yeah, that frame underneath, I'm just leaving it on there for now. When I blow the car apart and I'm painting and doing all the stuff underneath, that's gonna help quite a bit. So I'm actually gonna end this video here. I still got the steering to do. If I put it all in one video, it'd be too much. So yeah, if you like the video, subscribe. Check me out on Instagram. It's a metal thing, and I'll catch you on the next one.